Hello.
Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Sigmar.
And in this video we're having a look at another warband from the new Rivals of the Mirrored City box. This time it's...
The Gits.
Way.
Zarbag's Gits.
Everybody loves Zarbag's Gits.
The biggest warband in all of Underworld.
Possibly the most loved.
Yes.
The most loved.
One of the most random warbands.
Certainly has the most fervent followers, I think. It must be all the mushrooms.
Could be. So we're going to run through this warband, or Robin's going to run through this warband, because I've already done two, and we did two each. And you're going to give us a heads up on everything that's changed.
Everything that's changed. I'm bound to have missed stuff, as per usual. Anyway, the things I have noticed are, and the two big things are that they are back to 3 glory to inspire.
Ooh, because they
squig.
They were errata to be 4 glory before.
But they are back to 3 glory to inspire, which I guess would suggest that their objectives and things are going to be less easy to score. And Snurk has had a bit of a change. Ooh. I don't know whether it constitutes a nerf. I feel like it probably is a little bit, but he's definitely changed. So I'll start with him when I go through the fighters.
We're going to go through, get your Snurk out first then.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So you know how he basically, his inspired condition was inspire him at the end of an activation.
It was a reaction, wasn't it?
So yeah, at the end of the first, whoever activated, you just react and inspire. You can't do that anymore. Ooh. You have to. He's got quite a nice little profile attack. It's a 2 fury, 3 damage attack. But you have to have made a failed attack action with it, and then he inspires.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's really hard to inspire, potentially, if you're lucky.
Well, it's one of those things, because it's 2 fury, 3 damage. If he hits, he's probably killed whatever he's attacked.
Possibly.
But if he doesn't hit them, then he inspires.
Yeah, true.
So but it's interesting. There's going to be less obliteration going on.
It definitely sounds like it.
It's going to cause some consternation amongst the Gits players, I think, that change.
I think that's a good thing, though, because he was too reliable before in his inspiration. Yeah. And you would then just end up sitting on an objective in your backfield with loads of tomes on him and stuff. Didn't feel like how a fanatic should work. No, and he's got a few other changes as well, because he can no longer make any other actions other than the wreck action once he's inspired. Okay.
So I don't know whether people did, but he can't do those actions on the tomes or whatever to do stuff. He can't do that. And he can't go on guard, but he can scurry before he's inspired.
Okay, so that could be handy as well. Yeah. And he still gains his ability to scatter and all that stuff.
Yes, that is exactly the same. It's been worded slightly differently, but the net effect confused me slightly. But I'm pretty sure the net effect after reading it 500 times is the same.
So after Snurk, obviously the next most important fighter is Zarbag.
Zarbag, yep. So he's got the scurry on his card still.
Okay.
And the scurry action is still basically the same.
Yeah.
Basically, if an adjacent fighter moves, then another fighter with scurry can move.
And everybody congers.
But the wording's been tightened, so you can only do it if you haven't got a move or a charge token and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
So his cursed sickle attack action is exactly the same as it was.
Okay.
But he now has a magic attack, because he is a wizard.
He is a wizard.
And now he's got a little range 3 magic attack. It needs foci, and it does 1 damage. So it's a fairly standard magical attack.
It's your standard magic attack.
Yeah, but it does get grievous when he's inspired. Also, the sickle still has cleave when he's inspired as well, but it used to have that. And his profile is exactly the same.
Okay. So who's up next on the block?
Yes, it's Drizgit and the Squigs. Same rules for setup.
Yep.
So you wait. When you put Drizgit down, you have to put the Squigs next to him, but they don't go on starter hexes. They have exactly the same profiles, but they can fly. So they
interesting.
Have flight,
Not Drizgit though.
Drizgit can't fly.
Just the Squigs bouncing around the table, which is quite thematic.
Yeah, quite like. There used to be a card, I think, that gave it to them.
Yeah, they're bound in or something like that.
Yeah, now they get it automatically.
Cool.
And they are beasts, obviously. And they still inspire if he's dead. Their inspire profiles are also the same. Right, they're still pretty nasty.
2 damage with cleave. Something like that.
It's horrible, yeah. And Drizgit, I don't think has changed. I've got a horrible feeling I might have forgotten about that. I'm pretty sure he hasn't changed.
He was pretty rock solid fighting before, so he didn't have a lot going.
Do some heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, he could definitely hit people when you need him to. So that's nice.
Prog,
he
has changed a little. So his attack profile is the same. But you know how I can't remember what his net used to do. He used to do something like...
I think his net used to do -1 attack dice on the opponent or something like that.
It now just gives any fighters he supports ensnare.
Yeah, not too bad. And less tracking then as well. Yeah,
exactly. His attack now goes to 2 hammers 1 damage when inspired, rather than 3 hammers 1 damage, so that's not quite so good. But he does gain ensnare. And the last thing about Prog is that he no longer inspires to 2 dodge.
Oh, okay.
Which I had thought at first was just Prog, but I had forgotten that they all inspire to 2 dodge.
All
so
of
the
the
remaining 3, Dibs, Stick-It and Redcap,
Yeah.
all inspire to 2 dodge, and they don't anymore. They all stay on 1 dodge.
That's a bit painful.
So that is quite a nerf actually.
That is a fair punch.
Because they were quite easy to kill anyway, or it felt like it. But
Yeah,
so
they had 2 wounds and stuff. So
exactly.
yeah.
So that is a nerf there.
Ouch. So talking about those last 3 little losers, how have they changed?
They are essentially the same.
Yeah.
They've got the same awful profile.
Yeah.
Well, they've obviously lost their...
Even worse profile now with only 1 dodge on
But their
fire.
attack profile is really bad. It's range 3, 2 swords, 1 damage. So it's like...
Just an insult.
Yeah. But they do have this nice little ability now called Give Them a Volley, Lads, which they all have, and they can all use it. And basically when you use it, and they've all got a new keyword, which is called Shooter. Shooter, which I quite like. Basically all shooters within 3 hexes can make the shoot action.
Oh, okay, nice. So all 3 of them could shoot at somebody.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, that's quite nice because you've got a vague chance of hitting something.
They're quite bad, so being able to do it 3 times at least, it's nice to get the chance to miss 3 times.
Exactly, yeah, 3 times each turn.
Yeah.
But there is an objective which ties into that. If you make 3 shooting actions, then you could in theory score that straight away.
So we've gone over the fighters, and now we're going to move on to the objectives. I think what's changed in the objectives?
Well, there's no infestation, which was your 5 glory card.
That was a nice card.
It was a good card. But there is Gits everywhere.
There are Gits everywhere.
I think that this card exemplifies the change in design tone, if you like, of where we are now in the game compared with where we used to be.
Yeah.
So it's quite complicated, but basically you get 2 glory if you hold all the objectives in your territory. That is the main scoring condition.
Yeah.
Then you get 2 more glory if you also hold each objective in enemy territory. Okay, so that... Yeah.
And they could only have 1 in their territory, so boom, someone get an extra 2 glory.
Yeah, and you can get 1 more glory or 1 more glory, so you can either get like 3 or 5 if you hold 1 or more objectives in no man's land.
So you still can get 5, but you've got a nice sliding scale.
Yeah, it's nice. It doesn't make the card all or nothing.
Yeah,
which is quite
infestation. Good. Like there was a period of time where you always took it.
Yeah.
The Harrow Deep, Nether Maze days, and then
most of the time you never took it.
Exactly.
Exactly. But so it's really nice, and there's a few cards like that, like there were from Moloch, which are like, well, they're quite difficult to score, but you can score an easier version of them. Yeah. For less glory, which I quite like. Well, that card marries really nicely with Lurk Lair, which needs you to hold 3 objectives with at least 1 not being in your territory. Yep. Now, I think it's only 2 glory, so it's actually less good than Supremacy and harder to score.
I think most of them are going that way now. I think Script was the same. Hold 3 objectives, and 1 of them in No Man's Land, and Sepulchral Guard are the same.
Yeah, but that is Lurk Lair's quite a nice card.
Yeah.
You've still got Mad Scurry and Malicious Kill. Mad Scurry is where you've got to have 5 move tokens. Obliterated, that's had an interesting change. So it's basically 1 glory if Snurk kills somebody.
Right, okay.
It's 2 glory if he's inspired.
Oh, okay.
So if you hit somebody with his attack and kill them outright, you just get 1 glory for it.
Yeah.
But like I say, if you do it with the wrecking,
with his push ability and stuff,
then you get 2 glory.
Again, so they've got 2 glory surge cards potentially, and they're both traps.
Actually, I think it makes Obliterated better.
Yes, it
does. Because you've got 2 avenues to score. Although you can't, it's not one where you can because basically once you've missed with Snurk, that's it. You haven't got the 1 glory option.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun card to have in your deck, and it kind of makes it more palatable to put in your deck.
Yeah.
I quite like the fact that that's quite good, but it's not as good as the next card.
Ooh, what's that?
Survivor of the Gittist.
Best named card ever.
Yeah, I don't know whether you take it or not, but you basically got to have 5 or more fighters alive. It's an end-phase card. Again,
possibly good round 1.
Good round 1. It's got a little sweetener though, because it's +1 glory if it's the 3rd end phase.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's almost impossible in the 3rd end phase, but again, it's nice to have these tiers on the card, so you can score 1 if you do this, 2 if you get that, 3 if you do something else, that kind of thing.
There is no Petty Vindication. That's probably a card you know nothing about.
Yeah.
But our Patreon supporter, Anonymous Jeff, says he was basically going to... He'd be very upset if there was no Petty Vindication. So this is in there just for you. There is no Petty Vindication. Sorry about that.
So then moving on to the Gambit cards, have things changed dramatically there?
Yes. Well, I don't know if it's dramatic, but they have changed. Everybody forgets Zarbag's a wizard, but he can cast... He's got 2 spells in the deck. Jealous Hex was a card, I think it reduces the wounds of a fighter with the highest wounds.
Yeah.
But I think it used to be got out of a technicality because if you have multiple fighters with the highest wounds,
nobody has the highest.
But now it clarifies that it's the highest or the joint equal highest.
Oh, okay.
And there's a new one called Bite of the Bad Moon, which is a slightly less good version of Curse of the Bad Moon. Although, I say it's less good, I think Curse of the Bad Moon just used to damage people. But this one, you might completely fail because you have to roll a magic dice, and on a crit or a lightning, it does 1 damage. But you roll a dice for every defense point they have.
Ooh, I like that.
So against a rival Snurk, you'd be rolling 3.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
So you could kill a 3-wound fighter with 3 defence.
Yep.
So it's quite nice. It's quite nice.
It gives him more a chance of doing some damage against some of the bigger fighters.
And it's
out
each
there
dice as well. So
Yeah.
Mad Cat Mushroom has gone. It's a shame because I like Mad Cat Mushroom, but I did like the picture. It's one of my favourite card arts, and that is
chewing on a mushroom.
Exactly. That is still present in the card Chew It Over.
Excellent.
Which basically gives you another random little thing going on, and basically you've got a random chance, I guess it's 50-50, of either drawing a power card or staggering adjacent fighters.
Okay.
And that, though, I think the old one used to just possibly be Zarbag. I think the old one was for spells, it gave you innate.
Yeah.
This one is any grot can use it.
Oh, nice, okay.
So that's quite good. So you could, if you've got a kamikaze grot, you can, in fact, it might even be any fighter. I can't remember, but
bomb someone in.
Yeah, exactly. Fungal Blessing and Sneaky Step remain, so you've got an infection sidestep. So Fungal Blessing is 1 damage after they've taken somebody out of action, so that's quite good.
And at the end we got the upgrades. They did have a few very choice upgrades. Do any of those remain?
The ones that stand out now for taking is Fiery Brand, which gives Drizgit Grievous.
Nice.
Which
every little helps.
But he has got 3 hammer attack.
Yeah.
So, that's a goodish chance of doing 3 damage, especially if you combine it with Overconfidence, which is +1 dice and -1 defence. But as he's got a defence of 1, it's -1 to a minimum 1.
It makes no difference.
There's no downside for him. So basically we're giving 4 dice, which if he was doing Grievous as well, 4 dice, potentially 3 damage is
almost definitely 3 damage in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. And with Ravenous, another card, you can get the squigs up to 3 hammers and 3 damage too.
That's nasty.
Yeah, so it's +1 dice for the squig. More generally, you've got Sneaky Shuffler, which allows a push at the end of the last activation. That's not just necessarily your activation, it could be if your opponent goes last, you could push. So if you've got trying to get some objective cards, trying to hold the infestation equivalent, you can push somebody back on at the end. If suppose you get knocked off in the last activation, you can push yourself back on, or if you push somebody off, you can push yourself on.
Nice.
Which is quite nice. I quite like that.
Cool.
And it also, just a little bonus, gives you double supports and successes. So Sneaky Sneak is a lovely card.
Yeah.
It's an action, but basically that action you can move a fighter from anywhere on the board to an edge hex.
So it's a bit like the old hidden pathways.
Yeah, but it's better than that because you can do it from anywhere. But it does take an action,
true.
but you can take them anywhere. But then you have to break the card. So you can do it once, and you give them a move counter.
Oh.
But it's good for getting out of dodge.
Getting out of dodge, yeah.
If you
Especially
need
that.
to. And then Squinty Glaring, I really like. It's basically you put on Zarbag, and it allows other fighters to make a scurry reaction, even if they've charged.
Oh, nice.
Or moved.
Okay. So just being able to get a bit more manoeuvrability, jumping on objectives and stuff.
Exactly. And then finally, I've chosen Sharp Sticker. It's a 3 fury attack with 1 damage, so not that exciting. But it's range 2. But it gets Grievous X for each supporting fighter.
Oh, that could be very nasty.
Yeah, so if you can get a number of supporting
especially when not Zarbag, when Drizgit runs around and he gets the squigs running with him. Oh yes, that could be very nasty.
It could be, and it's good for them because they don't have very much range 2. They've either got terrible range 3 or some quite solid range 1.
Yeah.
But they haven't got any range 2. So it's a little bit luck dependent because you've got to have supports. And you've got to have.
But they've got options there to move bodies around anyway. So
I just like that card. It's a fun card. I think all of the cards are fun. They have taken none of the fun out of playing the Gits with this deck.
It feels like they've made Snurk a little less auto win with him, but other than that, they all still seem pretty solid.
I would say so. I mean, I think there were times when he was really oppressive, and I don't think he is. And you can't do any of those silly shenanigans like you were saying, like pile him up with
all the tomes and stuff like that, and just using the actions to do things and stuff like that.
So that's really good. So, and you've still got the chance of scoring Obliterated, which is one of the most best feelings in the game.
Most bestest ever.
When you score that.
Yeah.
But I really like them. I'm looking forward to trying to play them. They always do my head in, but I am looking forward to playing them. There is like a little bit soul destroying about playing them though, when you desperately want to inspire the squigs, but people just keep attacking them and not attacking Drizgit.
Yeah. But, I mean, now it feels like Drizgit could be a very nasty fighter in his own right.
Yes.
He was always solid before.
Yeah,
it feels like he could be even nastier now. So if they're going for the squigs, that's great because it leaves Drizgit there to stuff his iron brand up people's backsides.
So that is it for the Gits. again, you know, I think anything that brings old loved warbands back to the table is to be credited and loved. So I think it's a really positive addition.
Throughout all of them, we've seen the same thing. They've just made them more cohesive. They've improved the cards that they've given them. They've uprated the cards to be more in fitting with the current rules, and they've just made them tighter, and they've just made all the warbands much more fun looking.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much new meta to play with this box. And this is the last one we've recorded, so we're only talking about this here. But this, yeah, it's just a really great box that nobody was really expecting.
Yeah, and we're really, really grateful GW sent it to us, and we're really happy that it's just 4 more warbands that we can pull back out of the cupboard, dust off, and have a good old game with.
Brilliant. Yes, I didn't paint the Gits. I'm almost tempted to paint them.
We didn't paint the Gits, Mollog, all the thorns.
Oh, so, okay. Well, that's a lot of painting. I'm not that tempted.
So as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell, and if you are interested, maybe check us out on Patreon, because all the support we get from there comes straight back into the channel and the tournaments we run and the stuff we produce.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got loads of content coming up because we've got to play all these guys. We've got the Zondaras are coming too. There's going to be a new Rivals deck, so it's just all the underworlds all the time.
But leave a comment, let us know what you're looking forward to on these guys. Go check out the other videos we've done in this series and let us know what you're looking forward to on those warbands, and which one are you looking forward to the most. And we'll see you soon, maybe in the Mirrored City.